I don't know if it's right of him to be sharing this footage. He's pulling his whole hard drive and throwing it on the net, saying, "Absent this, Maddie." Oh, really?
There we go.
Holy
There's
cow, okay.
that third party.
Not one.
Boom! See? Hello, my dear friends, and hello, Mom.
Hi, son. How are ya?
I'm fantastic. How are you today?
Good. Hope you're all well. Also?
I'm sure they are, because they're here listening to a YouTube video. How lucky they are. Not just this YouTube, not just any YouTube video, but this YouTube with Millennial and Mom here. So I do have a special treat for us today. It's a follow-up from something we had just reacted to just a few days ago. So the influencer named Maddie, who got into a tussle with her father, is going viral a second time, apparently. So we're going to cover that today. Links down below, of course. Let's hop into it.
This video is a follow-up to my Sunday video on my daughter's viral video, trashing me, her dad. And these videos are all over the internet now, with titles like Bitcoiner and Breakdancing Dad Ben Hart navigate storm from daughter's viral TikTok video. And you should see my first video on this topic before watching this video, just so you know what this storm is all about. But here's a quick recap. My daughter Maddie is a 24-year-old screenwriter in Hollywood. I love her so much, though we are on different sides politically for the most part. She's also a social media King Kong. Many of her TikTok videos get millions of views. Maddie's initial video about me got 7 million views last I looked, just on TikTok.
My dad abandoned my family when I was 5 years old. That is a wife and 4 kids. He abandoned us and then pursued amateur breakdancing.
Some more context is needed here, needless to say. I will talk about this in a moment.
So just analyzing both of their expressions here before we delve too far into the second wave of reactions here. Let's take a look at both of their faces here. They're both smiling and happy, seemingly. So I don't know if I guess maybe it was just the fact that he responded maybe kind of irked her. I'm assuming this is a negative response because of the way he titled the video. Viral video assault on me. Second viral video assault on me, comma, her dad.
Yes, I'm very curious to see what this is all about. Because as we discussed before, it seemed like they had a good rapport, good relationship, our father and daughter. But now if Maddie is reacting to her dad's reaction, I'm curious to know what she had to say.
Yeah, it's interesting. We were both very curious about the mom's response. I didn't really expect anything else beyond this. I thought that she would just kind of shrug off her father's reaction and just kind of go about her day.
Let it go.
And then maybe, if anything, the mother would chime in.
Almost everyone I knew had seen this video and was asking me about it. Now she's posted a second video.
I know my dad posted like a 10-minute video or whatever being like, you know, my daughter's lying. We have a great relationship. I have a great relationship with all my kids. That's just objectively not true. Like, guys, we're all freaking out about this in my family group chat right now. We're being like, he's so unhinged and delusional. We don't know if he actually believes his own narrative or if he's lying on purpose, but he's just like a weird guy. Yeah, he said he lived down the street from us. That's not true. Or like if he did, it was only for a few months maybe, but actually for most of my childhood, he lived in Florida with his new wife. Like basically like, I don't want to get into this. Like, again, like my video was basically like sanitizing the situation and like poking fun at the lightest parts of that childhood trauma. But obviously in real life, it was a lot more like complicated and traumatic. And it was really hard. He left us, immediately married another woman. We didn't hear from him for years. And then he would visit every few months and we'd go out to dinner. But like, he truly had no hand in raising us at all. We don't speak with any sort of regularity. He doesn't know when my birthday is. Like, as you guys saw in the video I posted, he got it wrong. He gave us some money growing up. I honestly don't know the nitty gritty of the financial situation. I really, really don't. But I do know that several times I've asked him for financial help with medical expenses, like especially like in college, and he wouldn't help me. So that's what I was referring to in my video when I was like, he wouldn't pay some of my medical bills. I'll probably delete this in the morning, but I'm, 2 hard kombuchas in, and so I feel the need to kind of defend me and my family's like POV. Bottom line is this guy was a completely absent father. He's like, I was just a bike ride away from those kids. And it's like, Not once did any of us ever take a bike ride to his house. I don't think I've ever been in his house ever. So this whole thing is so bizarre. Like, I'm so surprised that he responded to my video, because I'm just like, damn, I could have actually made you seem like way worse than I made you seem. Like, in my video, I just made you seem like such a whimsical, funny guy. Like,
again, maybe she should just let it go. I mean, I get that she's trying to make a point, that his points were not valid. I get that, but let it go. I don't know. I mean, I'm curious as she's listening, and I lit up when I saw the video on his screen, but
I find it very interesting that she's more than happy to air out her dirty laundry in the family. This does not need to be aired on the internet.
exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. Let it go. She should have let it go. Then again, if she is honestly telling the truth and he was a completely absent father, but he made it sound different. Like he was all there financially 2 blocks down the road. I don't know. As you said, why air it all out here? But if she's trying to make a point, as she brought up her family members here, then maybe she has a point, but I wouldn't do it.
I just feel like this is almost solely an ego-driven response here.
Excuse me.
There's not really too much other reason to air this out other than just feeling a sense of defensiveness over a man defending his own position. So they're both giving out their own points of view, but this is kind of what I was alluding to in the last video. The fact that this is all coming about, and exactly as I said, she was just kind of taking it as some really light trauma that, just kind of shrugs off, but it's way more than that.
Right now it is, because he made it seem like she was all wrong.
They both are coming from their own sides at the extreme, of course, from their own, there's 3 sides: his side, her side, and the truth.
Right.
So we'll see where we go.
but in real life, it was actually a lot darker. So I'm so surprised that he responded to it. And it's obviously kind of hurtful and weird, but again, we don't really have a relationship. So at the end of the day, it doesn't have a huge effect on me. It's just kind of a bummer for my family. And we're all kind of looking at this and looking at his response. And we're just like, this is crazy. If this is actually his narrative, it's like delusional.
Before he gets into it, they're hurt over this man responding. They're hurt over this man who gave millions of his own dollars to support them, whether or not she acknowledges, I wasn't aware of the financial situation. No, you weren't. So why are you expected to understand the inner workings for how this works? You don't know if your mom was letting him speak to. We don't know how all this works. Nobody does, except for these two. So the fact that she's pinning this all down on him as if it's one-sided, and how dare he even tries to defend himself, I don't think that's fair at all.
Yeah,
They're
but she
hurt
said
over it.
she's never even been to his house. Ever.
Has she asked him to? Has she shown an interest in it? Because I think it's a two-way street. Maybe she's never had an interest in her father for whatever reason it may be, and he knows, hey, Maddie, do you want to come out and visit me and my family, me and my whatever? You can stay here, whatever. We'll do this. No, Dad, I'm busy off in California. We don't know how their relationship would have worked.
Right.
Now, I'm not going to go through all of Maddie's points here, most of which are just a repeat of what her mom's been telling the kids for the last 19 years. Okay, so let's roll tape to see what childhood was actually like for my kids. And let's see how my relationship was with the kids even after the divorce.
We have with us here Maddie Hart. She is a YouTube.
Ooh, okay. Before we get into this, I don't know if it's right of him to be sharing this footage.
If he feels totally offended, and he's gonna make a point. It's kind of crazy. He's digging out some old stuff.
He is. He's getting them receipts.
Yep.
Receipts are coming out.
Tube specialist. How many videos, Maddie, do you have on YouTube now? would
About
you say?
54.
And what is your goal?
One day I want to be a partner.
What does that mean?
It means you get paid to make videos. Yeah.
So, Maddie, I'd like some more YouTube insights and clarification. What is the difference between a subscriber and
The absent father taking his kids on vacation to the Great Lakes.
I mean, this could be one vacation.
Correct, yeah. And they seem to have a pretty decent relationship at this point in their lives.
Right. It's just going to get uglier and uglier. I think it's never going to end unless they just stop now. Because, I mean, like I just said, this could be one vacation. One vacation. I mean, she looks pre-teenish teen there. I don't know if he said how old she was.
Yeah, I was curious as well.
What are you reading there? What's the book?
So if this is the same vacation, they traveled quite a bit there between Michigan and Indiana.
Yeah. Whoa, Nelly.
All right, so how would you summarize the day at the water park?
It was pretty good. That lady was funny.
How would you rate it?
9.
A 9 out of 10? Where do you think it fell short?
That mean lady.
So clearly he's going through old videos of his time with the kids, which, you know, could vary in different time periods. But where is the line drawn of what's enough between an absent father and a non-absent father?
Curious.
Oh, gosh, it's going to be ugly no matter what. And unfortunately, oof, it just is what it is. Is that her?
I was going to ask the same question. Yeah, maybe not as a blonde. It looks like the same smile, but they're all sisters.
Yeah. He is pulling it all out. He's pulling his whole hard drive and throwing it on the net, saying, absent this, Maddie. Is he not?
Yeah, again, whose point?
That's her. I
Let
can
me be
recognize.
clear.
Yes.
Maddie is not lying in her videos. She is saying in these videos what she perceives to be true from her perspective. She's expressing her truth. And her perception is impacted radically by 19 years of brainwashing by my ex-wife. I don't want anyone attacking or bullying Maddie for her videos. Her videos express her perspective, and I believe they are honest from her perspective. So feel free to direct negative comments my way, but please don't bully Maddie. Now, I told Maddie
Beautiful.
Beautifully said.
Wow. Good for him. Again, just proven like
And a new
a stellar
Bitcoin
man.
shirt.
Yeah. And a different Bitcoin
Yes, that
shirt.
definitely is quite the gesture. Sorry,
Yeah.
I interrupted you.
No, you're
but
good,
Yeah,
yeah.
quite the gesture.
That's
If you have anything bad to say it to me.
That's commendable. Commendable.
I liked 98% of her video, but that there were some significant inaccuracies in there, like about me not paying medical bills. That's just not true. And the implication was that I was some kind of deadbeat dad. I paid her mom millions of dollars in alimony, child support, put hundreds of thousands of dollars into the kids' college funds, paid for their health insurance, of course, and out-of-pocket medical costs, as I should have. The result was that the kids were able to live in a wealthy suburb of Chicago, attend top colleges, and pursue very good careers. Anyways, I asked Maddie to take down her video and at least correct the damaging inaccuracies. It just wasn't true that I wasn't covering medical costs. I told her almost everyone I know had seen it, including clients. It had the potential to hurt my business, hurt me professionally. And I certainly don't think she meant any harm by her first video. But she declined to take down her video because she said her video had gone viral. So she didn't want to take it down. So I came back a day or so later and told her that I had posted a response video on X.
We asked. We
So-
asked that. He did tell her.
He asked her to take it down.
After. But he did tell her he was posting a video, or he posted a video. That was one of the questions
He
we
did
had.
specify he was going to, or he just did
I
it?
think he said he told her.
Let's find out what he said.
Yeah.
Her video had gone viral. So she didn't want to take it down. So I came back a day or so later and told her that I had posted a response video.
Okay, so he didn't ask or let her know. He just told her.
I did this.
Yeah.
On X. I told her the video response was very mild and very positive. It just corrects a couple of inaccuracies. And at that point, my video on X only had a few hundred views. She watched my video and seemed to like it, thought it was funny. So then I suggested, since you aren't going to take down your video and correct it, I would at least like you to post my response video on your feed. I explained to her that people will love it, predicted that it would get millions of views on her channel, because her videos often get millions of views. I also suggested to her that after my response video, I could fly out to Los Angeles. We could then do a collaboration video, sitting down together and hash out these issues.
Holy cow. Holy cow.
The thought of having my father reach out for a collaboration project, it's the heaven that I'll never get to experience. I have a close second with my mom. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love you, Mom, but the bond with the father is just something I'll never get to experience. You know, it's
Sorry, son.
oh, it is what it is. That's such is life. It shaped me into who I am. But either way, that's amazing of him. And I figured he would be the type. You know, if there was an extension or an interest in doing things together, then it would have facilitated itself in some shape or form. But I imagine there was no interest from one or both parties, and why force something that's only one way? And maybe this is in somewhat of a self-interest of this guy, of course, but regardless of whether it's self-interest, it's mutually beneficial, because she would most certainly benefit from this whole ordeal as well, like both in her personal life or her family life, to patch things over with her father once and for all, just smooth it over, air everything out. Here's my opportunity to have a new relationship with my father, to connect further than I ever have with my father. That opportunity may be only once in a lifetime. It's probably not going to be with this guy. He seems very forgiving and allowing of, you know, everything that she's, you know, putting up as far as resistance or inaccuracies, as he puts them.
People would love that, I said, but she declined. So I really had no choice but to put up my response video to set the record straight, even if it only gets 200 views, which is about what I expected. Well, then my response video really started to blow up. It hit 1 million views in about 12 hours.
Wow.
Then 5 million views, 10 million views, 20 million views, 30 million views, and on up from there. Maddie's mom started to freak out, sent me long text messages telling me to take my video down.
Oh, really?
There we go.
Holy
There's
cow, okay.
that third party. So maybe she will get called out here.
Interesting. So she's reaching out to him, freaking out
Privately.
saying, "Hey, pull your video down." So let's try to imagine what is her reasoning behind wanting that video to be pulled down.
Not Maddie's, but her ex-husband's.
Right. What reasoning does she have for that? He doesn't really paint her in a very negative, I guess. I mean, the only negative thing that he says about her is that she may be brainwashing the kids. And he didn't even say that word for word. It was kind of an implication. What did he say? No doubt because of what her mother told her.
Even though a few details are off, no doubt because of what she heard from her mom. And I do think it's a great...
Boom.
Exactly like I figured. Right.
Which it wasn't even that offensive. It's, I guess if she's taking it offensively, it's kind of
A sign of guilt?
perhaps.
Perhaps.
But
Or-
what other reason would she have for wanting it to be down?
I don't know. I'm curious.
And I'm really kind of surprised that Maddie was saying that the entire family group chat was freaking out about this delusional man.
But Maddie's video is still up and has 7 million views, and that's just on TikTok. Plus, Maddie has posted a much more negative second video, full of inaccuracies. Here are the basic facts. Maddie's mom and I got divorced in 2005. In America, about half of marriages end in divorce, and it's natural for young children to feel abandoned. One day, the father's living in the house, and the next day, he's not. That can feel like abandonment. Maddie's mom and I had some very ugly legal proceedings that Maddie is largely unaware of. I don't talk about it. But our divorce was probably worse than most. I lived in LaGrange, Illinois from 2007 to 2011, just down the street from the kids. Saw the kids all the time. Then in 2011, Wanda and I bought a house in Willowbrook, Illinois, which is about an 8-minute drive from the kids. Maddie's mom then got remarried in 2012. She moved to Wilmette, Illinois, which is about a 1-hour drive north from our house. The kids were older by this point. I continued to see all kids who wanted to see me. Would make the 1-hour drive to Wilmette, if any kid wanted to hang out with me.
Exactly as I thought. And that's not out of the ordinary that a kid isn't going to want to spend the mandatory time with a parent. You know, it's pretty normal for, Dad, I want to hang out, but Justin wants to do XYZ instead. Is that cool? Yeah, that's fine. Stuff like that,
Correct. And it wasn't like you were in the same county. You were an hour away.
Yeah.
I mean, but he seems to be into the fact that I would spend time with them if they cared to.
Exactly as I was saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Now, teenage girls generally want to do their thing with their friends. I saw my son the most because he wanted to. I don't force the kids to hang out with me. If they want to hang out, cool. If they don't want to hang out, fine. Generally, teenage girls don't like to hang out with their parents. They like to hang out with their friends. Maddie is correct that the girls did not come over to the house, even though we were very close by. They came 3 times, once to our place in LaGrange, which was a bit more than a mile down the street from her house, and they came twice to our house in Willowbrook, which was an 8-minute drive. And that was it. The girls didn't want to validate my wife, Wanda. We've been married since 2006. So the girls did not want to come over to the house, even though we were just down the street. It was a solidarity thing with Mom. My son Peter would sometimes hang out at the house. He didn't seem to have any problem with Wanda. But usually we went to movies, restaurants, water parks, a beach on Lake Michigan, paintball gunfight parks, that kind of thing. Teenage girls can be absolutely brutal, by the way, especially on divorced dads. If you're a divorced dad with young girls, get ready for a rough ride. My only advice to you, be patient. They will grow up, and you will get along with them when they reach adulthood. All you can really do is show them that you're there for them when they want to interact with you.
Would you agree with that sentiment?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I never, ever really lost connection with my father. I was always there, even if we were hours apart. When we moved, I would move across the country. He actually came to see me twice. But we talked all the time, so, and my parents were divorced. I was fortunate. I had a great stepmom. So I never really lost touch with my dad, ever, until he left, and went there. But hey, I can't relate. I was always a daddy's little girl. What do I say?
So I think your situation is definitely, unique to that. I always knew that you and your father were really close. But as far as the relationship with your daughter, I feel like the relationship that he's mentioning, or the relationship dynamic, is similar to your relationship with your daughter, in that I feel like you guys didn't even get even close until she was fairly into adulthood.
Correct.
Or maybe even as soon as she had her first kid, for all I know.
Yeah, I mean, we were not that close. We went through periods of time where we were close, but then we also went through periods of time where we didn't speak.
Sure.
But we did not live together either when she was growing up.
Right. And she was about Maddie's age that she is now, early 20s, and still just kind of figuring life out, just now getting to the point in life where it's like, oh, it's not as simple as I thought, and my parents may not have been, as evil or as awful as I thought they were.
Yep, things change when you become a mom or a dad.
Oh yeah, especially then.
You can't force interaction. Eventually they will interact with you. Boys are really so much easier to raise than girls. And I'm speaking generally here. Boys do tend to get into behavior trouble, but boys are much less complicated mentally. They tend to take things in stride and don't get wrapped up in drama. Anyways, no, we did not move to Florida. Wanda and I bought a second house in Florida in 2015, but we still maintained the Illinois house. And remember, the kids were older by this point. 2 were in college, 2 were in high school. The kids were doing their own thing by this point. We would typically stay in Florida in the winter, and then stay in Illinois when the weather was nice, in the spring, the summer, and the fall. We would shuttle back and forth between houses. Wanda and I still travel back and forth between Illinois and Florida, even though the kids have grown up and dispersed around the country and the world, except for my son, who is still in Chicago. Okay, so Maddie graduated from Northwestern University in 2021. Upon graduation, she went to Los Angeles in hopes of becoming a Hollywood screenwriter. She asked me for $5,000 to help get her set up in Los Angeles, which I agreed to against my better judgment. Basically, I have trouble saying no to Maddie. That's another tendency of divorced dads. We really can't say no to our daughters. In addition, her mom and I bought her a used car, a Ford Fiesta. I think her mom and I pitched in $2,500 each. Maddie might have put in some money also. I think the car was about $7,500. I also co-signed a lease for her on her apartment. Now this is very different.
She very conveniently does not mention any of those in anywhere in her videos. That's unreal. Okay.
They called him delusional.
Different from how I was treated by my dad when I graduated from college. My dad gave me 0 after my last day in college. He was done. Now I'm not complaining. I love my dad. I wasn't expecting anything. And I think that's how it was for most kids in those days. Once college was done, the kids were expected to stand on their own 2 feet instantly.
Damn right.
Like the day after graduation. At some point, you just have to throw the kid into the deep end of the pool and see if he or she can make it. That's how it worked in those days, but not these days apparently. So against my better judgment, I gave Maddie $5,000 for adulthood startup money in LA, co-signed her apartment lease, and paid $2,500 toward her used Ford Fiesta. But also, she had broken up with her boyfriend around this time. She said she needed to go to grief counseling and therapy. She and her mom wanted me to pay for that too. That's where I drew the line. I consider medical care to be like when you're sick.
These are the medical bills that she's talking about.
Wouldn't even pay my medical bills.
Grief counseling after her boyfriend broke up with her.
So who's lying? He? Her? Is anybody lying? Are they both?
The thing is, she is telling the truth from her perspective.
True that.
Because he didn't pay these medical bills. That he is saying, I don't think that they were necessary, so I wasn't going to pay for them. Plus, the mom can pay for them. Right? Like, if it's so important, mom and daughter, pay for them. I don't agree with this. Unreal.
Or have a broken leg or need stitches.
Right.
Got into a car accident, stuff like that. Not grief counseling over a breakup with a boyfriend. Also, counseling and psychology today are completely dominated by far-left female wokesters. Almost no males in that profession. So,
why was that necessary?
Because I think he's accurate. And that's kind of what I was alluding to with, I hope that help is available. Because it's hard for I spoke to several counselors, and it was hard for me to find someone that didn't feel like they were pushing an agenda on me, that were trying to convince me that I was loony, that I was off.
Did you see a woman?
I saw several women and I saw 2 men. But I'm in the South, so it's not even as bad for me. But if I was, in other states, I've heard horror stories of just men being unable to communicate their struggles with somebody that's been indoctrinated by the collegiate agenda that propagandizes and brainwashes college students.
It's all foreign to me. Yeah, I did not. I mean, now that I think about it, probably the profession is outnumbered by the female sex, but I do know there are male
there
psychologists and psychiatrists.
Right, exactly. There's a few good ones, but it's kind of like finding a piece of hay in a needle stack. And is it worth searching for that single piece of hay and that stack of needles where you're just going to poison yourself?
You do know it's needles in a haystack.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because you were throwing me off for a loop there.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I wouldn't want to search for anything in a needle stack.
Right, but that's my point is if there's a sea of negative brainwashed therapists that are out there trying to push this woke agenda that don't encourage actual improvement, instead of just medicate and put your head in the sand and things will maybe go away. No, there's better ways that can solve your problems in life, and a lot of these people aren't advocating for them. They're advocating for running away from your pills, from your problems with pills. But it's all about short-term gratification and not looking at yourself and realizing the things that really need to take place and not holding yourself accountable for your issues.
Well, I'm just to go back to the video. I mean, you're going to grief counseling over a breakup. I mean, everybody goes through breakups, and if it was that in itself, like Miranda Lambert says, go fix yourself up, and get over it, because you're gonna have a lot of breakups in your life.
Right, and those breakups, just like many negative situations, can be beneficial to you and help you grow.
Correct.
And that is the point of them in your life, is to shape who you are. And if you are at a point where you're so sensitive and so soft that you can't handle one of the basic parts of life, then you need to understand that you are not prepared, and you need to re-educate and further prepare yourself for the realities of the world. Because at a certain point, you won't be coddled, and the world will chew you up and spit you out. And the fact that she's a pretty girl has really carried her pretty far, I bet. I'm sorry to say it, but like, a guy can't get away with acting like that. They would trash the shit out of him. Would they not?
Probably.
I mean, guys get trashed no matter what anyway, but
So do women. That's a whole other subject. Let's I think women are put down and ostracized as much as men.
Sure, they're 50% of the population, but they're also the protected gender. Women and kids first.
Okay, let's go on.
No doubt her therapist would be telling her the problem was her dad. The last thing I wanted to pay for was more brainwashing against her dad and against men in general. So I guess these were the medical bills that I was refusing to cover. Now, she did land a job in LA with NBC Peacock streaming, and that was going very well for her. She loved it. She was an assistant writer for a show. But then the writer's strike hit, which lasted about 6 months, and she temporarily lost her job or was laid off at NBC Peacock streaming. She, of course, approached me to see if I could help her out with funds. Otherwise, she said she'd be forced to move back to Chicago and live with Mom. So I agreed to pay her $250 per week while the writer's strike was still going on, and until she could land some other kind of work, even temporary work. And I told her this would be a month-to-month thing. I wasn't going to just pay her $250 per week indefinitely. She might have to get work at a car wash or Starbucks if this writer's strike doesn't end soon. Or, God forbid, get a job at a bank. So I paid the $250 per week, I think for 10 weeks, until she was able to land a job at Netflix, which apparently was not affected by the writer's strike for some reason. She was also using the writer's strike period to build her social media career as a kind of side hustle. And she's gotten her social media side hustle to a point where she brings in some money with that. I admire Maddie for this. One thing I will say about Maddie, she is a very hard worker. When she sets her mind to something, she will achieve it. When she was growing up, I'd always tell her, "You know what I love about you, Maddie?" "What, Dad?" "You're a doer," I would say. And she said, "I love that, Dad. I'm a doer." And she would repeat this throughout childhood. I'm a doer. It became a thing. And she really is. Maddie is a doer. Here's a good story about Maddie, which I love and I hope she loves. And I think this story might change the lives of many people who watch this video. So one day she says, "Dad, I want to get in better physical shape, but there's a problem." "What's that?" I asked. Well, I hate to exercise. I said, the reason that you hate to exercise is you are thinking about all the pain that you're going to feel while exercising. Here's what I'd like you to do. Schedule a time each day when you commit to going to the gym. You put on your gym outfit, your sneakers, and you head down there.
This is exactly what I was referring to earlier. Long-term gratification and the importance of it. And he knows. He's essentially giving a perfect anecdote for long-term gratification over short-term gratification and alluding to what I was talking about earlier. If you want the best results, the hardest results, the rarest results that the least amount of people that are willing to work for, you have to put in the long-term gratification efforts, the long-term efforts. And if you're just going for the short-term gratification, i.e. grief counseling after just an ordinary breakup, you're just going to get short-term results, and you may feel better in the moment, but you're not hardening yourself to the point where you're going to be able to get through life adequately. And that's the beauty of long-term gratification over short-term gratification. So good on him for bringing this up.
Then, if when you get there, you decide you don't want to actually go into the gym, that's fine. Just go home. You've accomplished your goal for the day. Victory. You went to the gym, made it to the parking lot, then went home. Mission achieved. Do this the next day at exactly the same time. Maybe this happens for several days. You make it to the parking lot of the gym, then go home. Victory. But one day you'll probably decide to go into the gym and then go home, maybe without even getting on the treadmill or trying out the equipment. But then one day you might decide to get on the treadmill for a few minutes, then go home. The next day you might decide to stay on the treadmill for 30 minutes. The next day maybe you try out some other equipment. Then maybe you find a dance fitness class that looks appealing. You'll meet people. Fitness becomes a lifestyle. It's just something you do each day, like brushing your teeth. The main thing is to commit to starting each day. Don't think about the work. Don't think about the pain. Just start each day and see what happens. If all that happens is that some days you make it to the parking lot and then go home, well, that's fine. Victory. You've achieved your goal. Mission accomplished. Maddie looks at me and says, I love that. 6 months later, Maddie had washboard abs and looked amazing. Okay, back to Maddie's Hollywood career. Eventually, the Hollywood writer's strike ended, and she got her job back on the show she was working on for NBC Peacock streaming. But she still constantly needed money from me. These Hollywood jobs pay almost nothing at the junior level. So yes, it is a financial struggle for her. But this idea that Maddie and I have not had a good relationship is just not true. Well, at least in my mind. Of course, it's possible she's thinking something differently than what she's showing.
Here we go. So I guess it really does depend on what you define as being in a good relationship with your parents. Maybe she, in her mind, considers it to be talking every day, or at least as much as she's talking to her mother. I've never been too much of a communicator with my parents.
True.
I mean, I don't communicate much with people in general, but the people that I speak to the most have been my family, even more so than my friends oftentimes. But that might just be a father thing, that might just be a man thing, but I definitely can see where in his mind the relationship that he has with his family, with his kids, with his daughter in particular, is adequate. It's good in his mind. He probably doesn't hold on to too much issue. Obviously he's not dunking her problems, or he's still very gracious to her and not stepping on any toes. He's treating her very well, all things considered. He's understanding of her lack of knowledge in certain areas, naturally so, because she was a kid in the situation. But it's just massive respect for him for holding it down and keeping it forward.
Not being belligerent. He could be, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But let's just randomly scroll through our text conversations to see what they're like. For one thing, we're texting with each other all the time, just literally all the time. Looks like everyone wants to do dinner Friday night. I get in Friday. Put me down. Love. Another love here, one of these love type things right here, like that. And that's pretty much just kind of how we communicate all the time. It's just, I love you and all this stuff.
Sure.
And she just tells me about what's going on in her life pretty much every day. My plane made it. Sorry I missed you. How was your Christmas? Thanks.
Wow.
That's what our conversation's like. And literally they're just...
I wasn't even expecting that much.
So who's delusional now?
And he's got the receipts right there.
Maddie. She should have just not responded.
No, she should not have.
No, because he's got receipts. Maddie, I don't understand. I really don't.
I want to give her the benefit of the doubt. I really do, but she's making it so hard.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It is only February. Now, he could be talking about Christmas 10 years ago, but to me, this sounds
True.
like this last Christmas.
Yeah, but even the casual conversation that they are having, nothing sounds hostile, nothing sounds negative, there's no contempt. It seems very happy-go-lucky, very casual, as if it happens all the time.
Yeah, it's really strange. I'm confused.
all the time, like that. So it just goes and 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 goes. So I don't actually know how you could have a better relationship if you just read through those texts. And it's constant. Let's see, I'm scrolling through my text conversations with Maddie, and here I'm reminded that on August 7th, 2023, I pay her $750 for medical bills. Wait, I thought I wasn't paying medical bills. And I have no idea what this medical bill was. Maybe it was the counseling, maybe it was the therapy. I have no idea. And remember that birthday I forgot? Turns out I didn't actually forget it. On March 8th of 2023, Maddie texts me and says she blew out a tire and broke a rim on her car, and that it would cost $700 to fix. I texted back, "I'll send you $200 early for birthday. Then maybe mom can send you a bit." Maddie texts back, "OMG!" exclamation point. "That's nice, Dad. That really helps with the car." Then when her birthday actually arrived, I just lost
The car that he helped pay for too, right?
Could be.
Well, if it's the same car that
Right.
he's referring to earlier.
Right.
But either way, that's
Sounds like he's been there for her.
through and through.
track of what day it was. I'm a writer and I tend to zone out sometimes. I often don't know what month it is, much less what the actual day is. So then when I wished her a happy belated birthday a couple of days late, I guess I accidentally hit the question mark instead of the exclamation point. So it was happy birthday, question mark. It was just an error. Kind of a funny error though.
Even if it was a question mark, I think it's funny. Was it your birthday? I don't know my own daughter's birthday. LOL, happy birthday. You know, like it's funny to me. Would you take that offensively?
No. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think I've ever had my birthday missed by my parents. So I don't know. I've always gotten some kind of acknowledgement. So, I mean, it is a typo.
Yeah, it's very likely
very
that
likely
it's
could be a
very
typo,
possible.
yes.
Yeah, and I think that's more than likely the case. But even if it was intentional, I think it's kind of funny. I think if my father had the wherewithal and the wit to actually do something like that, that would be funny. Instead of just forgetting and waiting until next year, maybe.
Yes.
Happy birthday, question mark. Now the male brain would think nothing of this, but the female brain will search for hidden meaning in the question mark. Nope, no meaning, just a typo in a text message.
So he's exactly right, I think. But this is exactly why I think it's important for men to become red pill aware, to know that the way that men and women perceive things is very different. And it's very easy for men to think that women think the same way they do. And it's very easy for women to think that you guys think the same way to think that we think the same way you do.
Right.
And it doesn't work that way. We think and feel and act differently.
There is a country song out there that says exactly that. But it's a broken heart, you know. A man can fix it with a whiskey and Coke. but a girl can't. I mean, same difference. We all take it differently.
Sure. Sure.
Do you ever make typos in text messages? No. And she says to me, "Happy belated birthday, Dad. I had it in my calendar wrong. I hope you had the best day ever. Did you do anything fun? Thank you, Maddie. We just went out to dinner. Nothing much. Hope you are doing well. Love you." By the way, I don't think my dad ever remembered my birthday. Not once.
Boom! See?
And it didn't. Well, it may have phased him then, but it obviously holds
It
nothing
shaped
against him now.
It shaped him into the strong, stoic, respectable man he is. As awful as it was, he felt bad knowing that his dad didn't care enough to send him a message. But it obviously, he even had good words to say about his father.
Right.
So obviously it didn't impact him that much.
Yeah. Even though he'd forget his birthday or kicked him out the last day of college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You are right. It totally shapes you. So.
And it's unfortunate because he's aware of the situation. He knows that she's viewing their relationship differently than he's viewing it. And he's at least willing to open his mind and say, like, he's pointing it out right now, like, hey, we see this differently. Like, he's laying it all out here. And he's trying to explain to her, this is how I view it. And here are the receipts that back up why I feel like this is okay. Because I'm not a deadbeat. I'm not abandoning you. I'm still within your life, still giving you money, still texting you frequently. And exactly as he said, as long as my kids are interested in me being in their life, I'll be in their life. Correct. And I knew that was going to be the case.
It's almost kind of sad. It almost makes me teary-eyed. That I hope this doesn't get ugly or go away, because love them while you got them.
Yeah.
Love them while you got them.
Yeah.
Because they're not around forever. Nobody is. So.
My mom always did, but not Dad. I'm not sure remembering birthdays was a thing for dads back then. My dad would come home and maybe he'd see a birthday cake out or some birthday decorations and he'd say, "Oh, is it someone's birthday? Let's crack open some champagne." But he would never remember his kids' birthdays, not once. I'm also going to stop remembering birthdays. How about you just tell me when your birthday is, when it actually arrives, and then I'll say, "Happy birthday." And when you think about it, it really makes no financial sense anymore for males to get married. It's financial suicide for males to get married today.
Oh my gosh. He is going full red pill in this. Oh my gosh. I can't believe this.
Yeah. He's going to end up being
Oh
people really actually need to listen to him.
Holy cow. Good for him, dude. Wow. He is taking this moment to educate young men.
Listen.
Wow.
Because of the way the legal system is set up.
Exactly.
And the big winners in divorce are the divorce lawyers.
True.
They are incentivized financially to keep the litigation going as long as possible, to make it as bitter as possible.
Yep.
So this system just promotes conflict, division, misery, bankruptcy. I also blame the education system. Yes, Maddie was brainwashed against her dad by her mom for 19 years. That's true. And this happens in most divorces. In a divorce situation, the mother is the one who really ends up raising the kids. It's then the dad's job to provide the money. That's how it works. Meanwhile, the mom...
This man knows what's up. He knows what's up. He is laying it all out, and I love that he's not dancing around it either. He's
setting it out there.
No, he's not being politically correct. He's not afraid of what people are thinking.
And he's not being bitter about it.
No, he's being very stoic and very neutral to it, just being logical. Just straight logical.
Because sometimes in a situation like that, you don't see the logic.
Right, exactly. I would venture to say that most people these days would not be able to handle themselves in a heated situation like this, where somebody in their family is blasting them for literally millions of people to see.
The ex-wife is with the kids almost the entire time, dumping all over the dad, the ex-husband. And that's the way it works in every divorce that I've seen. But now there's this other element. The kids are also being brainwashed into leftist woke insanity by the schools, starting in kindergarten, all the way through college and grad school. Girls in school are taught to hate men, to see themselves as victims of the so-called patriarchy. And they're taught that there are many genders. And why not consider changing your gender? Kindergartners are taught this today. The schools should be teaching reading, writing, math, science, and marketable skills that will actually help the kids succeed in life. There is almost nothing of value being taught in the schools at any level nowadays. It's all political indoctrination into woke ideology. So here's my advice.
He's a pretty smart man.
He is cooking. Holy, oh my gosh.
Go ahead. Holy shit.
I am blown away. He's saying it all. He's speaking facts. He's speaking facts. What people are afraid to say. And he is going to get canceled and canceled and canceled and canceled. But he don't care. He's even said that he's getting his employer contacted. So he is just going off now. Just, you know what, driving through the rails. He's just going off-road. Just, you know what.
Well, he owns his own business.
Well, he was talking about clients. My
Right,
apologies.
right,
Sorry.
yes.
So he's talking about ruining his relationship with his clients, but he doesn't give a shit. He's just, that is amazing. Massive props. Ben Hart, you are a true modern day hero. Props. My good man. Massive props. It takes some balls. It really does.
Don't send your kids to college or even to school at all. The schools are pure poison. Homeschool your kids instead.
Yep, I agree.
Then instead of wasting $350,000 sending your kids to Harvard or some elite college, or any college for that matter, just have your kids learn a marketable skill for free or almost free online. There are also good courses at community colleges. A degree from Harvard carries very little weight today. Elon Musk, by the way, has said this many times. School and college are mostly a colossal waste of time and money. I just want things to go back to the way they were, for everything to go back to normal, where we're all having dinners, laughing, joking, and hanging out.
Oh, dear.
That's fairly recent, too.
Yes, it is.
And everybody's happy. Nothing but smiles around.
Especially Dad.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah.
And Maddie, yeah.
You can't even see his eyes. He's so happy. Good for them.
Like we were a few weeks ago at Christmas. Maddie's older sister Tori has come to some of my breakdance battles, one in Chicago, one in New York City last year. She loved it.
How cool would that be to see your 60-something-year-old parent breakdancing competitively? Oh my god.
Something you don't expect, for
oh,
sure.
Wow.
I love all my kids. And that's really all I have to say. What I prefer to be talking about is Bitcoin, and why Bitcoin is really the only hope for freedom's survival.
Whoa.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Whoa.
Let the truth be spoke. I like the fact that he went on a different tangent. Let's just say, this is an issue with my daughter, but let me just tell you what I believe, what I think, what I feel, what I see now. Not just about my family, not about my kids, but about life in general. And he said a lot. A lot.
Guy says, man is trying to defend himself and reach his daughter all at once. What a guy. Yeah, and he is. He's trying to reach out to his daughter. Like, say, unfortunately, this, like I said, this was an underlying issue that was lying dormant. And it was only brought about because of this, what she thought was just an everyday ha-ha, funny ha-ha trauma. And boom, it exposed this open vein that had been pulsating for years and years. And finally it ripped open, and he's trying to desperately to save his daughter. Not necessarily save his daughter, but save his relationship with his daughter. Because it's at this point in their life that it's going to make or break their relationship.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And that's, again, I like you said, she put out that first video about childhood trauma that's funny. My childhood trauma wasn't childhood, but my trauma was funny. However, she bashed somebody, and unbeknownst to her, it really affected her dad and his business and in his life and what he was getting. You know, his clients were probably very thinking, oh my God, you left 4 children and abandoned them and didn't support them financially or emotionally. How horrible. And I'm doing business with you. I mean, that could have been a true fact. So he almost had to defend himself, in my opinion.
I think any self-respecting man better defend himself. Otherwise, you're not that. You're not self-respecting. Because he is. He got to where he is because he respects himself enough to become a competitive breakdancer at the age of mid-60s. He respects himself through and through. And exactly as that comment said, you know, he's trying to defend himself while maintaining the relationship with his daughter. And in his eyes, he truly views her as brainwashed and stuck in this woke zombie status that a lot of people agree with. And he's in his mind, he's both trying to defend himself while saving the dignity of his daughter because he doesn't bash her. He tells logic, he tells statements which she or other people can choose to view it as insulting. Sure, I mean, if that's what it's going to take, but it's unreal to me that she genuinely views their relationship as not good because she has no idea how bad relationships with parents truly can be.
Well, that one comment right here, it says, her trauma as a child with no college debt or car payments. Wow, can you abandon me? My dad dropped me off 20 minutes away, and I haven't spoke to him since. So yeah, I hope they can stay on good terms. I hope this doesn't blow up. I give the man who seems like he's got a lot of knowledge, and he showed some receipts.
He showed a lot of receipts. You know what, though? I do think it will end up okay. It may not be right away because he knows the cycle of the parental relationship, especially between daughter and parent, that it can be very rough growing up with the young girl and all the things that are going on inside of her, hormones and all the things that a young woman goes through, which is clearly different than a man. And he's understanding of this, and he's understanding, hey, she's going to continue to grow, and eventually, when she's ready, because it's most likely, I'm thinking that she's gonna be upset over this, and maybe she'll be upset for a little while, and it's gonna, you know, what do you call it? Smooth over eventually. It'll smooth over eventually, and he's gonna be there, ready with open arms. Of course, I love you, my daughter. You know,
always will.
Yeah, exactly. And she's gonna, you know, fight and scream until she gets over it and realizes I'm not the victim here. I'm trying so hard to be a victim that I can't even enjoy what little good I have with the relationship with my father.
I wonder if her mother asked her to take her video down or just her ex's. So we wondered if the mom was going to come up here at all. But I don't see that happening now.
I don't either. Absolutely not.
But,
no.
You know, stranger things have happened.
True, but I'm kind of surprised that we're seeing this second response here to begin with. So,
yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think we may. It's very possible that it's over right now. I think that this could be just they're both gonna bite their tongue, and it's just gonna be smoothed. Hopefully, it's just smoothed over offline and it just kind of is just something that, hey, you remember that time we went worldwide viral over a relationships trauma between us? Like, that's unimaginable.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think he has room to be up there and find his little place to teach some people some things.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely got a lot of opportunity to...
Think about it, Ben.
yeah, to improve the world in some way. I mean, he's educating young men on, hey, you know, look out for your future. Look out for your future. He's obviously an advocate for taking care of himself physically with his world-class or competitive breakdancing. He's just a stellar man, like through and through. And maybe, just maybe, he's exaggerating a little bit on what he's saying, but I think for the most part, I think he's telling facts.
Right.
Through and through.
Good for him. Come on, Maddie. Ben.
We'll see what happens.
Be lovely.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Mother?
No. Very interesting. Very interesting.
If there's anything else that comes up on this journey, we'll be sure to continue on the epic tale of Maddie and Ben. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Much love. Cheers, all.
Peace.
Peace, y'all.